It was a chilly Monday morning when the familiar sound of the diner doorbell rang. Ding! The smell of freshly brewed coffee filled the air as Lily wiped the counter, smiling automatically. She didn't even need to look up to know who it was. Every morning for nearly a year, the same old man walked in right at 7:05 a.m., not a minute earlier, not a second late. He was tall but frail. His gray coat was worn and his hat had seen better days. He always walked slowly, leaning slightly on his wooden cane. "Good morning, Mr. Cole," Lily greeted warmly as she poured coffee into his favorite mug, the one with a small crack near the handle. "Morning, Lily," he replied with that soft, tired smile that somehow still carried a spark of mischief. He'd take his usual seat by the window, the one that faced the street. From there he'd quietly watch the world go by, children rushing to school, shopkeepers opening their doors, and life happening as he sipped his black coffee. His order never changed. 2 slices of toast, butter on one, strawberry jam on the other, and black coffee, no sugar. Most of the staff barely noticed him anymore. To them, he was just another quiet old customer, the kind who probably lived alone and had nowhere else to go. But to Lily, he was different. She noticed the small details, how he always carried a folded newspaper even though his glasses were so thick he could barely read it, or how he always left exactly a $1 tip, neatly placed under the cup, even when his hands trembled, and every morning, before leaving, he would say, "Thank you, young lady. You make mornings a little brighter." Lily never thought much of it. She was just doing her job. One day, as she refilled his coffee, 2 businessmen at the next table whispered and laughed. "Look at that old guy. Comes here every day like he owns the place." "Probably broke," the other said, smirking. "Maybe that waitress feels sorry for him." Lily heard every word. She turned to them with a polite but firm tone. "Sir, we treat everyone with respect here. Coffee's meant to warm the heart, not feed the ego." The 2 men went quiet, and Mr. Cole chuckled softly. "Well said," he murmured, tipping his hat slightly. Lily smiled. Ignore them. Some people just don't understand kindness. As days turned into months, their small morning chats became part of each other's routines. Sometimes they talked about the weather, sometimes about old music or books. Lily told him about her dream to one day open her own bakery. He always listened, really listened, and as if her dreams mattered. "You'll get there," he'd tell her. "Kind hearts always find a way." She laughed once, saying, "Kind hearts don't pay rent, Mr. Cole." He smiled knowingly. "Maybe not. But they bring you something money can't buy, peace." Every morning when the rush began and the noise filled the diner, Lily would still make sure Mr. Cole had everything he needed. If he coughed, she brought him water. If his toast got cold, she replaced it. It wasn't pity, it was respect. People often overlooked the quiet ones, but Lily believed everyone had a story. And for some reason, she always felt that Mr. Cole's story was far bigger than what he showed. Then came the day that broke the routine. It was a rainy Thursday. The kind of day where gray clouds hung low and the world seemed slower than usual. Lily came in early, as always, preparing the tables. She poured the coffee at exactly 7:04, ready for his arrival. But 7:05 came and went. Then 7:10, then 7:20, no Mr. Cole. Maybe he was just late, she thought. But as the morning passed, her heart grew heavier. His table stayed empty. The coffee went cold. When her shift ended, she wrapped up a sandwich and left it in the back fridge, just in case he came later. The next day, she waited again. And the next. Still nothing, her co-workers joked. Maybe the old guy finally found a better diner. Lily forced a smile, but deep down, she was worried. He'd never missed a single morning before. On the 4th day, the diner doorbell rang. Ding. Lily looked up hopefully, but it wasn't Mr. Cole. Instead, 4 men in dark suits entered, followed by 2 bodyguards in black coats. Their presence immediately changed the atmosphere. Conversation stopped. Cups froze mid-air. They walked straight to the counter. "Excuse me," one of them said, his voice calm but formal. "We're looking for a Ms. Lily Parker." Lily blinked, confused. "That's me. Can I help you?" The man pulled out a sleek black folder and looked her in the eyes. "We're here on behalf of Mr. Henry Cole." Her heart stopped. "Mr. Cole? Is he okay?" The lawyer paused for a moment. "I'm afraid Mr. Cole passed away 2 nights ago." The diner went silent. Lily froze, her throat tight. The lawyer continued softly. Before he passed, he left strict instructions that we deliver something to you personally. He opened the folder and handed her a sealed envelope. The diner was unusually quiet. The soft hum of the coffee machine was the only sound that broke the heavy silence after the lawyer's words. Lily stood frozen, the envelope trembling in her hand. She could barely process what he had just said. Mr. Cole passed away, the man who greeted her every morning with a gentle smile. Gone for a few seconds, everything around her blurred. The clinking of dishes, the chatter, even the sound of rain tapping on the glass, all faded away. "Miss Parker," the man said again, his tone softening. "I know this must be a shock. Perhaps we should sit down." She nodded silently, leading them to Mr. Cole's usual table, the one by the window. The irony wasn't lost on her. The same seat where he had sat for months, now occupied by men sent because he never would again. The lawyer introduced himself. "I'm Daniel Hayes, Mr. Henry Cole's legal representative. These gentlemen are associates from his firm." Lily blinked in disbelief. "Firm? You mean he had a company?" Daniel exchanged a small smile. "Yes, quite a successful one, in fact. Mr. Cole wasn't exactly the man he appeared to be." Lily frowned. "But he was just an old man who came here every morning. He wore the same coat every day. She paused, realizing how many assumptions she had made about him. Daniel nodded kindly. He preferred to keep things simple. Mr. Cole valued people more than appearances. He gestured to the envelope still in her hands. "That letter is from him. But before you open it, there's something you should know." Lily's heart pounded. "What is it?" Daniel took a slow breath. "Mr. Cole wasn't just our client. He was a rather private man. Over the last year, he often spoke about a young waitress who treated him with kindness when no one else did. That's you, Miss Parker." Her throat tightened. She looked down at the envelope.
"He talked about me?"
Daniel smiled faintly. "More than you might imagine. He said you reminded him of his late daughter, kind, patient, and honest." Lily's eyes glistened. "I didn't even know he had a family." "He didn't anymore," Daniel said softly. "She passed away several years ago. Since then, he rarely spoke to anyone, until you." Lily slowly opened the envelope. Inside was a neatly folded handwritten letter, written in shaky, uneven handwriting. She hesitated, then began to read aloud. "Dear Lily, if you're reading this, it means I've gone on to meet my daughter again. Don't be sad, my dear. I lived a full life, and your kindness made my last year the happiest one in decades. You treated me like a human being when others treated me like a ghost. You never asked who I was or what I had. You simply cared, and that is rare in this world. There's something I never told you. The diner you work in, I built it years ago. This place was my first dream, a reminder of simpler days. I used to visit quietly to see how people were treated here. You restored my faith, Lily. Thank you for reminding me that kindness still exists. You'll soon hear from my lawyers. Please don't be afraid. Just know that I've made sure you're taken care of, the way you took care of me." With love and gratitude, Henry Cole. When she finished reading, her hands shook. Tears blurred the ink. She whispered, "He built this diner?" Daniel nodded. "Yes, Cole's Cafes. This was his first branch. He built dozens more across the state before retiring. He would visit this one occasionally, pretending to be just another customer." Lily sank into the chair, overwhelmed. "I never knew. He never said anything. He didn't want to be treated differently," Daniel replied gently. "He wanted to see who would treat him kindly, even when he appeared to have nothing." The lawyer opened his briefcase and placed a document on the table. "This is a copy of Mr. Cole's final statement of wishes. He insisted we deliver this personally, not by mail." She hesitated, still trying to process everything. What does it say?" Daniel looked her in the eyes. "He left you something, but the details will be explained tomorrow at his office. We need you to come by at 10 in the morning." Her voice trembled. "Left me something?" He smiled. "Yes, he wanted to make sure your kindness didn't go unnoticed." Before leaving, Daniel stood and adjusted his coat. "Mr. Cole often said people like you are what keep the world from falling apart." Lily could barely speak. "He said that?" Daniel nodded. "Every time he saw you, he said it." She tried to hold back tears. "I just served him coffee. That's all." Daniel smiled warmly. "To you, maybe. To him, you offered something he couldn't buy. Respect, warmth, and genuine care. As they turned to leave, one of the bodyguards approached Lily and handed her a small box wrapped in brown paper. "This was also from Mr. Cole," he said quietly. When they left, Lily sat back down at the table, his table. She unwrapped the box carefully. Inside was his old coffee mug, the one with the tiny crack near the handle. And under it a note in his handwriting, "For my favorite waitress. Keep the seat warm for me." That was it. Just that one line, and yet it broke her completely. She held the mug close, tears streaming down her cheeks. Customers watched silently, sensing something sacred about the moment. That night, Lily couldn't sleep. She kept replaying every memory, every conversation with him. His gentle smile, his quiet jokes, the way he listened. Tomorrow she would go to the law office. But tonight she sat by her window, the mug beside her, whispering, "You were never just a customer, were you?" Outside, the city lights flickered softly against the rain. Somewhere, Lily felt like Mr. Cole was smiling. The next morning felt different. The diner looked the same booths, the same hum of chatter, the same smell of coffee. Yet to Lily, everything felt heavier. Mr. Cole's absence wasn't just a missing seat anymore. It was a missing heartbeat. Still, she kept his mug neatly placed at the window table just as he had left it. A small, cracked cup, now worth more to her than anything she owned. At exactly 9:30 a.m., she tied her apron, wiped her hands nervously, and looked at herself in the mirror. "You can do this," she whispered. By 10, Lily was standing in front of a tall glass building downtown. The sign read, "Cole Holdings and Estates Legal Division." Her breath caught. Mr. Cole's name was everywhere, engraved on the door, printed on the walls, etched in gold letters. She stepped inside, feeling small among men in suits and polished shoes. At the reception desk, a young woman smiled kindly. "You must be Miss Parker. Mr. Hayes is expecting you." Moments later, Daniel Hayes, the same lawyer from the diner, greeted her warmly. "Good morning, Lily. Please come in." He led her into a spacious office overlooking the city. Sunlight poured through the windows, lighting up the photos on the wall. Pictures of Mr. Cole at various charity events, business meetings, and in one frame. A younger version of him, standing proudly in front of the very diner Lily worked in. She stopped in front of that photo. "That's the diner." "When it first opened?" Daniel nodded. "Yes, his first dream. The place where everything began." They sat down at a polished oak table. Daniel opened a folder filled with papers and spoke gently. Mr. Cole's passing was peaceful, but before he left, he spent weeks finalizing his estate. He was very specific about his wishes. Lily listened quietly, still unsure why she was there. He continued. "Mr. Cole left most of his company shares to charities and foundations, but he made one particular clause, written by hand and just for you." She blinked. "For me?" Daniel smiled faintly. "Yes," he said, and I quote, "for the woman who reminded me that humanity still exists." Lily's heart tightened. I don't understand." Daniel slid a few documents across the table. "Mr. Cole has transferred ownership of the diner branch you work in to you, Ms. Parker, effective immediately." For a moment, she just stared, not believing what she was hearing. I own the diner?" "Yes," Daniel confirmed. "And not just that. He also left you a 10% share in Cole Holdings. It's substantial." Lily shook her head, overwhelmed. No, there must be a mistake." "I'm just a waitress," Daniel smiled. "You're not just anything. You're the reason he believed people could still be kind without expecting anything in return. He told us your name countless times." Tears welled up in her eyes. "He didn't have to do this." "He wanted to," Daniel replied softly. "He said he had more money than he could ever spend, but what he really needed was proof that good people still exist. You gave him that proof." He handed her another letter, smaller, sealed with a wax stamp. "This was the last thing he wrote for you." With trembling hands, Lily opened it. Inside, a single sheet of paper written in the same shaky handwriting. "My dear Lily, by now you know who I really was. I hope this doesn't change the way you remember me. I didn't want to be seen as a wealthy man. I wanted to be seen as a man. You gave me that gift every single morning. The diner is now yours. Make it a place of warmth the way you always made it for me. Let it be a home for people who need a smile or a safe corner or a friend to talk to. That was always my dream. Now it's yours. If you ever doubt yourself, just remember this. True wealth isn't in what we own, but in how we treat others. You already understand that better than anyone. Henry Cole. Lily's tears fell freely. She pressed the letter to her heart, whispering, "Thank you, Mr. Cole." Daniel let her take her time. When she finally looked up, she asked softly, "What am I supposed to do now?" He smiled. "Live the way you always have. With kindness." That's what he wanted. A week later, the diner reopened after a brief closure. Nothing looked different on the outside. The same blue curtains, the same silver bell at the door. But something had changed. The staff now worked with new energy. Customers noticed how bright the place felt. And at the corner window table, right where Mr. Cole used to sit, a small brass plaque was placed that read, "In loving memory of Henry Cole, a friend, a dreamer, a reminder that kindness matters." Every morning, Lily poured an extra cup of black coffee and placed it on that table, his table. The steam curled gently in the morning light, like a quiet conversation between the past and the present. Customers sometimes asked, "Who's that for?" She'd smile softly, "For someone who taught me that small kindnesses can change everything." Months passed, and Cole's Diner became known across town, not just for its food, but for its heart. Lily started a small program that gave free meals to the elderly and lonely. On the wall behind the counter hung a framed copy of Mr. Cole's final letter, a daily reminder of the power of compassion. One evening, as the diner closed and Lily wiped the counter, she looked at the empty mug on his table, the same cracked handle, the same quiet spot by the window. She smiled through her tears and whispered, "I hope I'm doing it right, Mr. Cole." And in the fading light of the setting sun, she could almost hear his gentle voice replying, "You're doing it perfectly, my dear."